My name is Jason Paige Eisenberg, although I cut the Eisenberg off because the Eisenbergs cut me off. I am from where I've been the longest, which at this point is New York City. However, if I stay in California for another 13 years, I will be from California. Born in Wichita Falls, Texas. Ultimately from beyond the portal that is my mother's opening. I am a performer, a singer primarily, and a writer as well. I made the video Circumcision, Superstitious to spread the word about the human rights violation that is circumcision, and to do it with the sense of humor that enables people to process this violation a little easier. I had performed it live a number of times, and people laugh and they think it's funny, but they don't necessarily believe that it's real. In the video, I blurted out, but for a moment I pulled out my penis to show the piercing. Of course, YouTube would have flagged it, but I was hoping that the community of people who would be interested in comedy would find the video and spread the message a little bit more. But mostly to just wake people up to this violation. I cannot recall when I first became aware that I had been circumcised. It's something that is so embedded in my being that it can't even register when I became conscious of it. No, I don't recall when. I think it was probably in my late teens. I realized that my circumcision was not done properly when I discovered the bridge that is a piercing that I can put an earring or a safety pin or any kind of piece of metal through this bridge. However, I don't think that there is a proper way to circumcise. So I guess once you realize what circumcision is and how improper the process is, there isn't a such thing as a proper circumcision. I guess there's more improper than others. Moil in the back room of a catering hall is not as proper as a sterile hospital environment with medical professionals. However, there are probably an equal amount of deaths in both cases. Family members have told many stories about the day of my bris, all of them including my uncle's fainting at the sight of all the blood that was spraying all over the place. The screaming, the crying, the horror of those who hadn't experienced a bris before, experiencing it for the first time and being in shock. Grandma just says, he kept cutting and he kept cutting and he kept cutting and kept cutting. That's pretty much the punchline of the story that Grandma will repeat. And a table full of relatives. Do I know anything about the Moyle who performed my circumcision? I imagine that he had payas and a black bag and a little black sort of, thing with a hat, and he talked like this. It was a gray beard, and maybe he was one of these guys who just kind of slept on in, the kind of one of those guys that, the Orthodox guy who's the guy who's going to go as far as he can go to do what he has to do, to promote the circumcision. But I will certainly ask my parents if they could get in touch with him, because I think there's an opportunity for me to bring a lawsuit against him if I can prove that this was related to some use of his sharpened instruments on that day. If I could speak directly to the mohel who botched my circumcision, I would say, how can you fathom removing the blood from an infant with your mouth? How do you justify that in your mind? How do you, I mean, is that the best way to do things? How did that practice come about? Is that something that, you know, I mean, is that a joke? Or is that really what goes down? I mean, I understand that there is a need to keep the area clean, but does it please you? What was your first, you know, how did you get into that? Like, you know, how do you practice for that sort of thing? What compels one to go into that practice? Are you getting paid crazy amounts of money? What do you say when you come home to your family at the end of the day? And you know, how did it go, honey? Well, there was a lot of blood. I sucked most of it away. You know, let's eat. I mean, you know, come on. I don't know. I'm in awe that people actually do that in a sterilized medical community, let alone in the back of a catering hall from some, you know, recommendation from somebody in the back of a classified ad in a local newspaper. And how do you ignore the pain of a baby? And how can you ignore its pain? Do you really believe that babies don't feel pain, or babies don't have memory, and that it doesn't matter to an infant to undergo something that is that destructive to his body? Would you, if you had to choose, Rabbi Moyle, Shlomo, whatever your name is, between me performing the surgery on you right now, or me breaking a limb, basically, or breaking an arm, breaking your arm in a couple of places, which would you prefer? The arm broken or the genitals mutilated? I mean, there's plenty of other parts of your body that I might sooner remove. I would have a lot to say to that man, in other words. I think circumcision is accepted in our society because religious freedom is so important to people. And religious freedom gives you an umbrella to commit incredible acts of harm in the name of your religious beliefs. And it can't really be questioned. And not that I disagree with people's religious freedom, but there has to be certain lines drawn. Wars are committed with religious intent. It's accepted by non-religious people, oftentimes, and not outside of the Jewish community, because women are in the throes of just having given birth, the most incredible experience of their entire lives that will ever happen, and a nurse's aide or a doctor comes in and says, okay, we're going to take him to be circumcised, is that okay? And in the throes of this incredible experience, they have to make these last-minute decisions. They can't get informed. They haven't thought about it. As my mother has admitted, her diet consisted of KFC and cigarettes pretty much throughout her pregnancy. People are a little bit more conscious about their health and understanding that their diets are going to affect the health of the baby and the pregnancy. However, even with all that in mind, they've just gotten through this incredible process, and they're in a foreign environment, and the doctor knows best. As a result of making this video, I would like legislation put forth by my congressperson to outlaw circumcision and make it illegal to circumcise men and boys as it is illegal to circumcise girls. It's just pretty simple. You are not protected because you say that you're Jewish and you're doing this for religious purposes. Well, the general objection that I get from people when I talk to them about it, women in particular, is that it doesn't look as good. And I find this incredibly selfish that a woman would circumcise, and these are women who would circumcise their babies because of how they think it looks, because of their preference. So a woman wants a penis to look a certain way so that she's going to mutilate her child's penis so that it can look like the penis she wants to have, as if she's going to have this child's penis. Same thing with the men, that they will say that, oh, well, it's got, I don't want him to not look like me. I don't want him to not look like his friends. As if they're going to be comparing each other's genitals and judging each other by their genitals, as if, and I don't really understand that, because I don't find myself ever in a position where I'm comparing myself to anyone else's genitals. I don't find myself with my genitals out with anybody else ever to have that. I mean, maybe in the gay environment when they're all, if there's a bunch of men all hanging out together, they might be pointing each other out, but this does not happen in the straight world. So, and it certainly doesn't make sense for a woman to mutilate her baby because of what she likes sexually. I do want to produce, and I'm in the process of making a more elaborate video that goes into more detail. I have added a third verse, and I have re-recorded it so that it is that it's all vocal right now. That was a guitar and a vocal, just one pass through, but the new recording is all voices doing drums, clav, bass, horns, and it sounds like the original Stevie Wonder song but produced by voice. And the video will be filmed with baby cam so that you can have the perspective of the baby looking up at the congregation, hovering over it as the mohel goes in for the kill in some sort of wide angle lens, with happy people, with food, pigs and blankets. I think we need to have pigs and blankets. We need to have some other appropriate food, baby carrots, and and just blood splurting on everybody in their nice clothes as they're dancing around the screaming baby. And the band will be me as an adult in the corner of the catering hall. And I would like to play the mohel too, as well, in it, so that I can hover over that wide angle lens. And then the baby will get passed around to all of the relatives as they'll cute, and sometimes it'll spray up on them, and different things will happen. But I still want it to be funny and extreme at the same time, so that people can laugh and really get the point. My goals for the video are to have it be seen by as many people as possible, and have the consciousness about circumcision changed, and to ultimately have it be treated just like female circumcision, make it illegal, and hold people accountable for how they treat their infants. I think that they should be protected, and that the movement against circumcision can help inspire that. I can't prove that it's better than, that it does more good than harm, unless there's some extraneous circumstance. It makes no sense, and that's what I would like to happen from this legislation. We're going all the way to Congress.